Hey there, guys. Welcome to Retro. Just thought I'd share a weekend project with you. This is basically an old Windows, I guess, Windows XP machine that I had picked up a couple weeks ago. And, once I was trying to test everything out, it wasn't booting very well. And it just had a lot of problems. And I like to try to save as much retro hardware as I possibly can. But for this case, I thought, well, if the motherboard's not working, I probably will try to put an old motherboard inside. But I thought it'd be more fun to take some of the parts that I had and build a modern machine on the inside and be a little different than some of the other sleeper builds that have been done in the last little while. Instead of a Windows 10, I thought, well, why don't I actually just try to install Ubuntu on this thing and see what it would be like. So to start off, I got one of these Chinese motherboards about a year ago. It's an X58 platform, and then I also had 12 gigs of some RAM from a Dell machine that I had previously as well. So I put it into put them all together. The CPU is, as I mentioned, it's an X5670, and it's a 6-core, I believe 12-thread CPU that I was actually planning on putting in one of my other X58 boards, but to replace actually my i7 920, but it just wasn't working. So I did buy one of these motherboards just for the intention to get that CPU to work. I also got a couple of these Arctic fans and power supply that I had from another project. I thought it would be great for this build. And then I just had a standard 500 gig hard drive and a GTX 1050 Asus Strix video card. And as you can see from the case itself, I basically took it all apart and washed it. I took the hose to it, really took all the panels off, cleaned it out nicely, dried it, and got it ready for basically for my next project, which ended up being this particular build. Okay, so to share how I built it, basically I removed the old I/O shield that was originally in the case, and I took out the old power supply, and yeah, replaced it with this Thermaltake power supply that I had, and proceeded to insert the new I/O shield from from the motherboard kit that I had bought. And then I took the entire motherboard assembly that I had already built previously, and installed it into the machine as well. Sometimes with the I/O shields, you have to kind of push a little bit against them just to kind of seat everything properly, and then line up the screws. But once you do that, you can just start to secure the motherboard in place, and not don't go too tight. Just snug is good. Afterwards, I installed the GTX 1050 Ti into the motherboard slot, and then I actually installed the case fan at the back. I was going to actually put one in the front, but I never got around to it. Just decided to put it in the side door, side panel instead, to replace the one that was there. And then I just installed the 500 gig hard drive into the machine as well. After that, I connected all the wiring, and then I decided to just do a test boot to make sure everything was working, and I got a nice like a test screen. And then after that, I thought, well, I need an operating system, so I went over to the Ubuntu website, and it's pretty simple. You just have to go to the download page and download the latest copy. of Ubuntu. And then what I did was I created, using a platform or a software package called Rufus. I took the ISO and I created a bootable USB drive. And all I used actually was an 8 gig USB drive that I had kicking around. And at first, actually, I thought it wasn't big enough, but yeah, it was completely the right size. I would recommend having a larger one if you're going to make boot drives a lot. But I just had an 8 gig around, and after I had got everything configured, I got Steam working, installed a couple of games just to try things out. I started messing around with Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is one of my favorite games. I'm a big fan of Tomb Raider. And then went into the Ubuntu marketplace. There's basically a software center that has all kinds of free games and free software that you can try out. This is one of the great things about Linux. If you're not familiar with Linux at all, the Linux store in both, like, to me, I've had experience using Ubuntu. And also a flavor of Ubuntu, which is Linux Mint. Both have a storefront that makes it a lot easier to, at least in my opinion, to install software packages and games onto your machine. So I'm not the greatest at doing a lot of Linux commands to install software packages. So I thought using the store is a great way to go. So yeah, I mean, hopefully you guys like this project. I'm going to keep testing it out. It's been a while since I used Ubuntu, so it was definitely a lot different than I had tried it a few years ago. So I was pretty pleased to see all the upgrades. But yeah, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask me if you have any questions about it, and I'll try to put in the description all the parts that I had used for this particular project. And yeah, if you have any questions about Ubuntu or any other operating system that may work on it, feel free to let me know. And yeah, thank you for stopping by the channel.